So it is time again for the YLose Campus pod. We do it every single week. Lance Taylor right here for our friends at YLose, where we give you absolute winners, killing it in college football. And I am going to give you not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 locks for you for this coming Saturday on the college slate. Week 7 of the college slate. Pretty good. You know, this is one of those weekends we circled early on because you looked at 2 games, I thought, nationally, and 2 games that we're not going to talk about on this podcast. We do have 5 really good, meaty games for you. Again, we want to go 5-0 for you on the podcast, give you some really good information here and why you need to back these teams. Go on and jump on board right here at YLose. We can get a daily package, $49, weekly $99, monthly $299. And we have got some unbelievable deals coming up this weekend. But I do want to get to these 5 games. But when you circled week 7 back before the season kicked off, Ohio State, Oregon, a lot of people believed this was going to be the marquee regular season game. We'll see if it can live up to the hype of Georgia and Alabama. Now, obviously, Alabama goes out after beating Georgia, and they shit the bed and lose to Vanderbilt straight up as a 22.5-point favorite. One of the more amazing things, you know, I cover Alabama football here in state. College football is my forte. Do a daily show every day, 9 to 12 with that. And in all the years that I have covered Alabama football, this has got to be the most baffling loss. I'll say baffling. I don't know if it's the worst loss, maybe. You know, Kalen DeBoer is a guy that had only lost 12 games in his entire career at all levels going into the matchup with Vanderbilt. Just really weird. Anyway, a lot of things are happening, but the Oregon-Ohio State game and then LSU-Ole Miss. A lot of people were like, Ole Miss ain't going to be challenged until they go to Baton Rouge. Well, guess what? They already lost a game to Kentucky. LSU obviously lost the opener to SC, and now Ole Miss 3-point favorite in Baton Rouge. Loser of that game's got some serious issues. And so to me, that's almost an elimination game. Winner of Ohio State-Oregon, you feel like that team's in the college football playoff. So there are major implications there. You do have the Red River rivalry, Red River shootout, I like to call it, in Dallas. We don't have to worry about the 11 o'clock, the early Bloody Marys. This one goes off at 2:30, 3:30 Eastern time, ABC. First game we're going to get into today, it is an 11 o'clock or a noon, I should say, Fox, the big Fox kickoff, Washington and Iowa City to take on the Hawkeyes. Iowa's 3-0 when they're rushing for 241-plus yards, and Caleb Johnson is a bruiser. Iowa got beat up physically in the second half against Ohio State, en route to losing 35-7 there. If you had the Buckeyes, you get the cover. Now they're taking on a Washington team that is 4-0 at home but 0-2 away. I think Jed Fish is getting this team better and better. Will Rogers, accurate quarterback, playing in a completely different system than he did in Starkville for Mike Leach and Mississippi State, still completing 74% of his passes. No one has completed over 60% of their passes on this Husky defense. And the Husky defense has been really good against the run as well. I like the Huskies here. I think the Huskies are on a roll right now. I go back 2 weeks ago. We backed them against Rutgers. They outgained Rutgers 2-1, but self-inflicted mistakes, bad special teams play. The reason Washington lost that game, we backed Washington this past week. They bounced back, and they physically hand it to Michigan. I think it's much of the same. Similar kind of team with Iowa. I know the offense is better with Tim Lester and Cade McNamara at quarterback, but I do believe Washington is getting better each and every week. Jonah Coleman, big game on the ground. Love me some Washington. Take the Huskies plus the 3. That is our first game. Big Ten early, 12 o'clock, big noon kickoff there at Fox. Next game, we're going to keep it in the Big Ten. This one, 3:30 in the Coliseum. Penn State taking on USC. Penn State, the only FBS team that has started 4-0 in each of the last 5 seasons. What does that equate to? Absolutely nothing for James Franklin. James Franklin can't win big games. Is this a big game? No. USC's coming off a loss where we back Minnesota here at YLose. They lose the game outright. Those are the kind of winners we love here. Only 3 turnovers all year for Penn State. Drew Aller in this offense. They're completing 53% of their third downs. And I really believe as good and as physical as USC's defense looked under DeAnt Lynn in the first couple of weeks of the season against LSU and Utah State, it's regressed since then. Now, Penn State is traveling outside of the Eastern time zone for the first time in 15 years. But if you go back and you look at James Franklin and his ability to win on the road, not only win, we say this, and I don't think James Franklin's a great coach. Good coaches win, great coaches cover, but he is a great covering coach. 14-4 against the number his last 18 road games. USC over the last decade, 5-25 straight up and 10-20 against the number as a dog. Penn State -5. Absolutely love it. You're getting value here because USC still has a brand out there. This number is not inflated enough. This number should be about 7.5. I think Penn State wins the game by double digits. We are laying Penn State -5 there. Our next game in the SEC. Talk about the Alabama-Georgia game. Georgia comes back. We backed them last week. It was one of our losers. We were 10-5 at YLose on Saturday for you guys. So we had an incredible Saturday, but one of our 5 losers was Georgia, minus the 23.5 against Auburn. They just never got there. They kind of went through the motions. It might have been a physical hangover. The ability to take the lead and Bryant Denny late against Alabama, and then Ryan Williams goes 75 yards. They lose a heartbreaker there. So maybe a little bit of a hangover coming into the game against Auburn. Whatever the reason was, they couldn't get there. They've won 27 straight at home. They've won 37 straight against unranked. And Mississippi State scratched and clawed against Texas, keeping that inside of the number. They lose 35-13. Michael Van Buren, though, I just don't see him holding up against this Georgia defense. I think it's an absolute bloodbath. This is a Mississippi State team under Jeff Lebby in year one that lost in Starkville 41-17 to the Toledo out of the MAC. If Toledo can handle Mississippi State 34-17 or by 34 points in Starkville, Georgia will have their way, especially running the football. I go back watching Mississippi State against Arizona State in the desert. That Scatbo kid went like 250 on the ground. Mississippi State completely got gutted on the ground. Now you're looking at Trevor Etienne and what he did this past week against Auburn. He's getting a little bit better. I think Georgia will focus on the run. That will open some things outside. Dominic Lovett, Bell has been making big plays for this Georgia offense. So I think it's running the football. I think they grind them down. I think Georgia wins this and going away. It's a big number, minus the 34. We have backed Georgia the last couple of weeks, and they have disappointed, but I don't think they disappoint against freshman quarterback Michael Van Buren. Lay the 34 and get ready for a beatdown in Athens between the hedges. Next game we're taking a look at in the Big 12, Colorado, one of 5 unbeatens in the Big 12 right now, which is pretty incredible when you talk about how polarizing Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, has been with this Colorado team. I got to give him credit. The one loss this year was to Nebraska in Lincoln. Really good atmosphere there. That game got away from Colorado, but then Colorado against UCF. The defense really stepped up. 5 sacks, 13 tackles for loss. It seems impossible with those numbers. As a favorite with Deion, 6-1 straight up. As a dog, 2-8 straight up. Not good in this situation. Now you get a Kansas State team that's got their mat on coming off that loss. Kansas State knows they can't lose another one if they want to get in a situation in the Big 12 championship game to get the auto bid out of the Big 12. Kansas State right now second nationally, almost 7 yards per carry, only behind Boise State. Now we know Boise State is just crushing it on the ground because Ashton Genty is that good, averaging right at 11 yards per carry. But you look at the combination of quarterback Avery Johnson, DJ Giddens, the only quarterback running back combination to both average over 7 yards per carry. Chris Kleiman coming off a bye will have this team soaring defensively. I think they get to Shedeur. Not only did they get to Shedeur, I think they physically beat Shedeur down. I think Kansas State wins this game big. If you would have told me before the season I could get Kansas State -4 in Boulder, this is an absolute steal to me. That game goes off 9:15 Eastern time, so that's one of those late nights we get to stay up and watch. And I know a lot of people love to see Deion go down. This is a spot I feel great about. Kansas State -4. Lay it right there with the Wildcats. In our final game, we are going to stay in the Big 12 with one of the big surprise teams in all of college football, BYU. Kalani Sitake and BYU first year in the Big 12 was not good. They are 5-0, not only straight up, they're 5-0 against the number. And I'll tell you this, there's only 4 teams right now undefeated against the number. BYU, and you guys are never going to guess these other teams. Army, who's been really, really good, along with Navy. Eastern Michigan, and Marshall. 4 undefeated teams right now against the spread going in to Week 7. Eastern Michigan, Marshall, BYU, and Army. BYU, after this weekend, I know the pass defense, 24th nationally, 171 yards is all they're giving up. They've got 7 interceptions right now, 13th most in the country. I think Noah Fafita and T-Mac on the edge. Big game here. Arizona only 1-4 against the number. Fafita threw the 2 picks last week in the upset loss to Texas Tech. I think they really bounced back. The red zone offense was atrocious. They had to settle for 6 field goal attempts. I think they turn these red zone appearances into touchdowns against this BYU defense. I like Arizona +4. I think we've got a live dog on our hands. You can play Arizona money line too, but I like Arizona not only to cover the 4, I think they win the game outright. So to recap, we have Arizona +4. We have got Kansas State -4. We've got Georgia -34. Penn State -5, and Iowa -3. For the record, 4 favorites, 1 dog. Love the card this weekend. And if you want to get all of our action, it's very simple. We do the YLose pod every single week, but our daily package is $49, our weekly's $99, our monthly's $299. We will be giving you guys a free play every single day. Jump on board with the free play, but we are ready to win for you. I gave you a 5-0 right there to kick off week 7 of the college football playoff, or excuse me, the college football season. Getting ready, November 5th, we will get our first, I guess, playoff rankings from the committee. I was doing some research on that earlier today, so I had playoff on my mind. But week 7 of the college football season, kind of sad. We're halfway done after Saturday, but we're going to win. We're going to win big. I just gave you 5 winners right there. Jump on, lock those in, and get prepared for more winners coming up. Again, ylose.com/Lance. You'll get all the plays, free play every day, daily $49, weekly $99, monthly $299. But there you go. 5 winners. Like, subscribe, share with all your friends out there. Let's get it this week 7 of the college football season.